Every regional bird Pokemon ranked from worst to best, starting of course with the first stages. Bringing in the number 11 spot is Wattrel, and I honestly don't think it deserves to be on this list at all, but oh boy, did like 2,000 of you disagree with that on my Steel type favorites videos of all places. So here it is. It's on the list, but I still don't like it. So moving on, number 10, which is probably going to be a controversial pick, but it's Starly. Now I know, write your angry comment. We all love Staraptor, including me, but Starly? Tell me with a straight face that there is a single thought behind those eyes. But don't worry, this line will get its redemption. Speaking of redemption, I used number 9 in a whole video about Gen 5 shot at redemption, and it didn't really help my opinion on it. Pidove, that is. Yeah, the Gen 5 games are fantastic, I'll admit, but this little bird is, well, it's a bird. Now, Unpheasant we'll get to later, but Pidove is still just as boring as it always was. Now, number 8 is kind of shocking, at least for me. It's Pidgey. I'm sure a lot of you are probably not shocked at all, but I love Pidgey. There's so much nostalgia there, and I'm always going to be a Gen 1er at heart, but man, nostalgia can only do so much for you, and let's be honest here, Pidgey's pretty boring. Like, I know all of these first stages are literally just birds, that's the whole point, but Pidgey is really just a bird. Thankfully, these get more interesting as they evolve. Okay, now for number 7, we have its Gen 1 counterpart Spearow, which I don't really know if it should count either. You can get it like 3 steps from the first gym, and I usually consider the regional bird to be found on either Route 1 or 2, but if Wattrel can make it on the list, so can Spearow. But once again, it's really not all that interesting. So number 6 is Rookidee, who draws the line in the sand, separating the ones I like and dislike. It's actually pretty cute. I like the angry dark face pattern, though it and Corvisquire look like dark types for sure. And breaking into the top 5, we have Taillow. If it wasn't for the anime, it probably would be towards the bottom of the list if we're being honest. Its design is as plain bird as the others, but man, Taillow was just such an awesome Pokemon in that Hoenn series, so that along with how busted it can be in game brings it into the top 5. So number 4 is Fletchling. It's just adorable. I don't really have all that much else to say about it. So bringing us into the top 3 is Wingull. Really? On a regional bird list? Yes. You can actually find it before Taillow in Hoenn. So if anything, you should question why everyone considers Taillow to be the regional bird. It's more like the Spearow to Wingull's Pidgey. But anyway, I like Wingull. Finally, something other than normal flying, with great stats to boot. I think it's genuinely underrated. Along with number 2, Pikipek. Really, the Alola Dex as a whole is really underrated. It has some amazing designs, but that's a conversation for a different day, and Pikipek is awesome. 75 attack on a Route 1 bird is pretty nuts, and I think it looks really good. Severely underrated line. But the most underrated regional bird by far is Hoot Hoot. Yes, Hoot Hoot. Wait, aren't you the guy that put Rowlet at 7th? Shh. I love Hoot Hoot. Owls are awesome, but I really wish it got either ghost or psychic type like another Johto bird that just barely didn't make the list. For the middle stages, there are only 6 of them, but they're actually really cool. Oh, and if you're watching this on these platforms where the videos are getting like 200 times more views, that's cool and all, but it would be a whole lot cooler if you could watch on this platform instead, so I can convince my wife these videos are still worth making. Okay, so yeah, the middle stages are actually pretty awesome, except for number 6. There's a huge gap between number 6 and the rest of them, and it's Staravia. Look, I promise I don't hate the Starly line. I use it in literally every Gen 4 run, I do, but look at this thing. It's just so derpy. It does nothing for me, honestly. So number 5 is Trumbeak. I know I just said this line is underrated, and I stand by that. I love this thing, but the middle stages for these birds are actually really awesome. The only thing I can count against Trumbeak is I really don't understand the connection with the trumpet for a beak in this evolution line. I feel like it really kind of stands out. And number 4 is Tranquil. I think Tranquil is really cool. It's grown on me a lot, even with those suspiciously seductive eyes. Into the top 3, Fletchinder starts us off. Fire Flying is an awesome typing, and it looks a little odd in this sprite, but in game and in the anime it looks fantastic. But not as good as number 2, Corvisquire. I love the color scheme, I love the naming theme, 10 out of 10 overall for a middle stage evolution. Bringing us to the number 1 spot, and if you've been watching my videos for a while, you should not be surprised at all that this is Pidgeotto. It's been one of my favorite Pokemon overall since I was a little kid. I don't know why, this and Golduck of all things, man, it really needs an evolution. But anyway, I love it. It's perfect. I'll stand by this one forever. And we've made it to the final evolutions, the good part. In 11th and 10th place, we have the 2 birds that are really questionable if they're regional birds at all, but that's not why they're in last. They're in last because I don't like them. So Fearow is in 11th and Kilowattrel is in 10th. Just because Flying Electric is actually a pretty cool type, so it gets the edge over Fearow. And from here on, I actually like all of them quite a bit. So in 9th place is Unpheasant. Now, I have to admit this has grown on me so much. In the past, it would have been an instant last place, but the 5th gen video that I keep shamelessly plugging really showed me how powerful it can be. Its stats are nothing to scoff at. If it was just the male design here, it would be higher, but man, this one is just about as boring and ugly as it gets for a final evolution. Coming in 8th is Pelipper. I love this thing. As a kid growing up on the coast of Florida, being able to use a pelican Pokemon was pretty cool, and in recent years, this thing has shown me how great it can be in Nuzlocke, just sadly and obviously outshined in every game it's in by Gyarados. Next up in 7th is Toucannon. Its 120 attack is nuts, but the rest of its stats just don't really keep up, though its signature move is cool, and I think its design is really cool, even though yeah, it's literally just a Toucannon, but hey, at least it's an interesting bird. Now in 6th place is Pidgeot. A lot of you will probably say it even being this high is all nostalgia, and I can't even really argue with you on that one, but to me, it's just such an iconic Pokemon. If I were including Megas, that one would be an easy number 1 or 2, but as I said before, I even like its pre-evolution better, so it can't really go any higher. Leading off the top 5 is Noctowl in 5th place. I love this design so much, and its stats are pretty solid and unique for a regional bird. I stand by this being the most underrated regional bird by far, but number 1 through 4 are pretty adequately rated as awesome, so here they are. Number 4 is Swellow. Me personally, I'm not a huge fan of its design. I've always found it lacking and thought it needed an evolution or something, but I can't discount how absolutely busted it is. You can basically sweep the entire Hoenn region with Guts Facade Swellow, so I mean, come on. Number 4 is fair. Number 3 is Staraptor, the most solid staple of every single one of my Sinnoh teams without fail, and I'm sure the majority of you can say the same. 120 attack, 100 speed, close combat, what more do you need for a bird? Oh, and it looks absolutely awesome? How could you not like Staraptor? Coming in at number 2 is Talonflame. It's a Fire, Falcon, Hawk, Phoenix thing. I don't know. I don't really think I need to justify it or number 1, which is of course Corviknight by a mile. It is perfect. So what do you disagree with and what should I rank next? See you there.